This Chanticleer began to beat a wing, as one incapable of smelling treason, so wholly had this flattery ravished reason. Alas, my lords, there is many a sycophant and flatterer that fill your courts with cant, and give more pleasure with their zeal forsooth, than he who speaks in soberness and truth. Read what Ecclesiasticus records of flatterers, where treachery, my lords. This Chanticleer stood high upon his toes, he stretched his neck, his eyes began to close, his beak to open, with his eyes shut tight. He then began to sing with all his might. Sir Russell Fox leapt to the attack, grabbing his gorge, he flung him o'er his back, and off he bore him to the woods, the brute, and for the moment there was no pursuit. O destiny that may not be evaded! Alas, Chanticleer had so paraded! Alas, that he had flown down from the beams! Oh, that his wife took no account of his dreams, and on a Friday to risk their necks! O Venus, goddess of the joys of sex, since Chanticleer thy mysterious professed, and in thy service always did his best, and more for pleasure than to multiply his kind, on thine own day is he to die? O Geoffrey, thou dear and sovereign master, who, when they brought King Richard to disaster, and shot him dead, lamented so his death, would that I had thy skill, thy gracious breath, to chide a Friday half so well as you, for he was killed upon a Friday too. Then I could fashion you a rhapsody for Chanticleer in dread and agony. Sure never such a cry or lamentation was made by ladies of high Trojan station. When Ilum fell, and Pyrrhus with his sword grabbed Pyrrhum by the beard, their king and lord, and slew him there, as the Aeneid tells. As what was uttered by those hens, their yells surprised them all in palpitating fear, when they beheld the rape of Chanticleer. Dame Pertelote emitted sovereign shrieks that echoed up in anguish to the peaks, louder than those extorted from the wife of Hasdrubal, when he had lost his life, and Carthage all in flame and ashes lay. She was so full of torment and dismay that in the very flames she chose her part, and burnt to ashes with a steadfast heart. O woeful hens, louder your shrieks and higher than those of Roman matrons when the fire consumed their husbands, senators of Rome, when Nero burnt their city and their home, beyond a doubt that Nero was their Baal. Now let me turn again to tell my tale. This blessed widow and her daughters too heard all these hens in clamor and halloo, and rushing to the door at all this shrieking, they saw the fox toward the covert streaking, and on his shoulder Chanticleer stretched flat. "Look, look!" they cried, "oh mercy, look at that! Ha ha, the fox!" And after him they ran, and stick in hand ran many a serving man. Ran Cole, our dog, ran Talbot, Bran, and Shaggy, and with a distaff in her hand ran Maggie, ran cow and calf, and ran the very hogs, in terror at the barking of the dogs. The men and women shouted, ran, and cursed. They ran so hard they thought their hearts would burst. They yelled like fiends in hell. Ducks left the water, quacking and flapping, as on point of slaughter. Up flew the geese in terror over the trees. Out of the hive came forth the swarm of bees. So hideous was the noise, God bless us all. Jack Straw and all his followers in their brawl were never half so shrill for all their noise when they were murdering those Flemish boys. As that day's hue and cry upon the fox, they grabbed up trumpets made of brass and box, of horn and bone, on which they blew and pooped, and therewithal they shouted and they whooped, so that it seemed the very heavens would fall. And now, good people, pay attention all. See how Dame Fortune quickly changes side, and robs her enemy of hope and pride. This cock that lay upon the fox's back, in all his dread contrived to give a quack, and said, "Sir Fox, if I were you, as God's my witness, I would round upon those clods and shout, 'Turn back, you saucy bumpkins all, a very pestilence upon you fall. Now that I have safely reached the wood, do what you like. The cock is mine, for good. I'll eat him there in spite of everyone.' The fox, replying, 'Faith, it shall be done,' opened his mouth and spoke. The nimble bird, breaking away upon the uttered word, flew high into the treetops on the spot. And when the fox perceived where he had got, "Alas," he cried, "alas, my Chanticleer, I've done you grievous wrong, indeed I fear. I must have frightened you. I grabbed too hard when I caught hold and took you from the yard. But, sir, I mean no harm. Don't be offended. Come down and I'll explain what I intended. So help me God, I'll tell the truth, an oath." "No," said the cock, "and curses on us both, and first on me, if I was such a dunce as to let you fool me oftener than once. Never again, for all your flattering lies. You'll coax a song to make me blink my eyes, and as for those who blink, when they should look, God blot them from his everlasting book." "Nay, rather," said the fox, "his plagues be flung on all who chatter, that should hold their tongue. Lo, such is not to be on your guard against the flatterers of the world or yard. If you think... Lo, such is not to be on your guard against the flatterers of the world or yard. If you think my story is absurd, a foolish trifle of a beast and bird, a fable of a fox, a cock, a hen, take hold upon the moral, gentlemen. St. Paul himself, a saint of great discerning, says that all things are written for our learning. So take the grain, and let the chaff be still. And gracious Father, if it be thy will, as saith my Saviour, make us all good men, and bring us to his heavenly bliss. Amen.